Caruso runs a break. Caldwell Pope goes to the wing here. James! Oh!
Trying to play at the defensive end. Got blown by back.
Oh, yes!
Hook jam!
Harden step back. Puts up the three. Got hit. Shot's good! And one!
Back this time here, Steph.
Oh! Russell Westbrook!
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to I ain't gonna shoot it this time. Trey Ball. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. I know I didn't come to you all last week. I was gone, had a drill to do last week, but I'm back again. Talk about these playoffs, and last time I spoke to you all, I was speaking hypothetically. If the Nuggets was going to beat the Clippers, which came to fruition, and that happened. So we got the Nuggets versus the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, to which the Lakers made quick work of the Nuggets. It was sadness, I'll say this, but the Lakers are going to win the NBA championship. I didn't believe this coming into the season. Didn't want to. The odds, they was one of the odds-on favorite to win this championship. But I didn't want this to happen. But these Laker boys are going. They on a mission. These Lakers are on a mission. They are not taking no for an answer. LeBron James is on a mission, hell bent on getting this championship. Oh my God. I wouldn't be so upset if my friend George wasn't so much of a Laker fan, and I know he's gonna run his yap. I know he's gonna run that yapper to me if they win the championship, because oh boy, the storyline behind this season for the Lakers, if they win, or when they win, I should say. Oh my God, it's what LeBron been posting all year, talking about the Wash King. We laughed at him for not making the playoffs last year, even though he got hurt in this 27 games. They traded all the young players. People were talking about that the young players was better than Anthony Davis. And, they got a bunch of misfits on the team. They picked up J.R. Smith. They picked up Dion Waiters. Danny Green has been a no-show for most part of the playoffs. Dwight Howard is the shenanigans down his hair, blue, purple, whatever he want to Dragon Ball Z character he want to imitate now. It's just, oh my God. The storyline, through all of that, they found a way to make it and push through the playoffs and with grit and determination. Only taking one loss in each round. Only one loss, going 12-3 in the playoffs so far, which the Heat is doing right now, or did as well. But the way the Lakers been doing it, golly, it's, Lord, this, oh God, LeBron James is not playing this year, and he has, when they win this championship, he has every right to talk, because we all, including myself, doubted that they would be in this position, doubted they'd be able to get it together, be able to be focused to win this championship, but they somehow managed. Because you look at the circumstances they faced going into the bubble, they lost Avery Bradley because he didn't want to participate due to concerns with his son and his health with COVID. Dwight Howard didn't want to go into it because he didn't believe it, and I don't know what Dwight Howard was doing. Rondo was hurt for the most part, and LeBron, he's been the forefront of the social justice movement with the NBA, and this is also like one of the first playoffs in a while that LeBron James hasn't went 0 Dark 30 on social media, because he's still kind of active on social media, just not as much, but still kind of active on social media, and he's just been on a tear. It's not the usual LeBron playoff performance we used to, where he's dropping like 30 almost every game and giving us mostly triple doubles, but he's been doing it for at least the most important parts of these playoffs, and AD has been putting in work. But let's talk about the series itself, because I'm ready over here, start to get hot flashes and start losing my mind, because this is not what I predicted. that my Pacers let me down. The Rockets let me down. Big Y let me down. The last hope of defense was Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic of the Nuggets, and they didn't stop him. The Pacers was on the Eastern Conference. I really didn't expect much from them, but the rest of them teams, God, let me down. The last 5 minutes of Game 5 showed me that LeBron was really, really determined because, granted, they was already up by 12, but LeBron James scored back-to-back possessions on his own, and it just showed, the grit that the determination that he really want this championship. He just really want this championship because also you got to think, too, Kobe died this year. And a lot of the mindsets of these players on this team and the coach staff is showing that Mamba mentality. I seen it in the press conference, in the post-game conference where they got awarded the Western Conference championship trophy. They didn't care. They said, job's not done. We ain't done yet. We ain't got to the finals yet. We ain't won the Larry O'Brien trophy yet. The job's not done. That's very similar to what Kobe Bryant was saying. That's actually what got George hooked on to Kobe in the first place in the 2010 NBA Finals when Kobe won, I think, the first game, and he's like, job's not done. So I feel like they've been watching a lot of that film and they've been really trying to absorb my mentality and trying to do this for him, which will be a great way to celebrate and uplift his name and the Laker legacy by winning the championship. Because it's the first time in a decade that the Lakers even been to the NBA Finals. Last time they was there was with Kobe Bryant when they won. And the mentality, the leadership that LeBron James just has on this team, for them all to be so focused like this, and God, it's just scary, man. It's scary because I didn't want this to happen. I didn't. I wanted to be the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals, and maybe they would have beat them. But the way the Clippers was playing throughout this playoffs and their issues, it didn't happen. We're gonna get to them later, but let's talk about the Lakers still. LeBron has been letting AD do most of the work this playoffs for the most part. He even let him hit the clutch shot in Game 2. I was watching something. They was talking about how LeBron, back in, I think it was it was in Cleveland, how he said, I'll be damned if Kyrie take this last shot over me. And now we see LeBron James, who is able to defer, these last clutch moments to Anthony Davis, who hit that clutch three. Who was it over? I think it was over Grant. It was over Grant or somebody like that. And he hit that clutch three, which, from the way he was released, I knew it was going in. I didn't want it to go in. I sound like a Laker hater, don't I? It's really only because of my friend. That's the only reason why I don't like him, y'all. I really don't. I can care less about Lakers like that. I have Laker gear in my own. I have a Kobe Bryant jersey. I have an old Laker warm-up that my father gave me. I have Laker gear. And I have no problem with it. But it's just, oh, God. Yeah, it's like, I'm a Cowboys fan myself. It's like the Cowboys of the NBA. So, the fan base is just annoying sometimes, especially in moments like this. But, back to the point. LeBron's been averaging in the last series 27 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, and he finished the last game on triple-double with 38 points, 16 rebounds, and 10 assists. While Anthony Davis, been, like I said, he's been doing most of the workload with the points, averaging 31.2 points, only coming in on 6.2 rebounds. There were some games in this series where he really didn't even rebound as much, and he got to do better than that if they really want to win the championship in the next round. Game 3, he had 2 rebounds. Game 4, he had 5 rebounds. Okay, you're in the middle, but come on, you're Anthony Davis. You're a top 5 player. You should be averaging more. Game 5, you also have 5 rebounds. Both of them, though, however, shot over 50% from the field. Both of them. The efficiency that this team has been playing on and through these two players has been ridiculous. KCP has been showing up in that series. Rondo is playing phenomenal as well. He's been a big lift for the team since he came back in the second round. These Lakers are just, man. I don't want to. I guess okay. I can give them the power. They're playing good. They're playing very well, determined, very focused. They look like they can win this NBA championship. We'll get into the competition, but let's talk about what the Nuggets what happened to the Nuggets in this past series. being down 3-1, I joked about this. I'm saying, or I said that with them being down 3-1, they probably one of the only teams ever that when being down 3-1, their odds probably go to the roof because these past two series they've been down 3-1. But if you really look at it though, with them being down 3-1 as constant as they have, they've been playing and played more games than anybody in this whole entire playoffs have played. Because they played 14 games in the last two series, plus this, which would have been 19 games on top of because they lost in Game 5. They played more games than anybody in the entire playoffs. So they're fatigued. They are a young team, but even playing all these minutes, Jokic and Murray are like the top two in postseason minutes this entire playoffs because of them playing those extra games. So the fatigue you can definitely see it set in on this team, and the Lakers just they were just so focused, and Dwight Howard trying to get in the head of Jokic in some of these games. Him and JaVale McGee over laughing at Jokic talking about Thanksgiving, the messing with him and whatnot. They just been so focused. Jamal Murray, who's been playing phenomenal throughout this playoffs, and who has shown, one of my biggest critiques of him and one of many critiques, including his own coach, was his consistency. And he's been very, very consistent throughout these playoffs, which is something, that I felt that if he wanted to be a top player or be that guy on that team, he needed to be more consistent. And he was definitely consistent in his playoffs. But in the last game, he got injured. He hurt his leg. And he still finished with 19 points and 8 assists. But, for them to win and to come back, they needed him to be there. Jokic was always that constant heartbeat. Just, he was going to be there regardless. He was always there to keep that team in the game. And shout out to Jeremy Grant, too. Jeremy Grant, he's been playing phenomenal. Especially, you see a trend when players come up on the end of their contracts, they start playing a little bit better. I necessarily don't. I can't say I necessarily don't like that because, they try to get their money, but you wish that they play like that all the time. But he's been playing very well in these playoffs and showing off. He finished with 20 points and 9 rebounds in Game 5. Like I said, this is the last year of his contract. He's planning to decline his play option. He could be worth between $14 million to $16 million out on the free agency market per year, I should say. Not total, but $14 to $16 million per year. So he's looking to get a good contract if he gets one from any team. The Nuggets, really going to the series with the Lakers, there wasn't. I may have wanted them to win, but there really wasn't any expectation for this team to actually beat the Lakers. Like I said, with the way the Lakers have been playing throughout the playoffs and just the mindset this team is having, the story that goes into the Lake that's been going with the Lakers, I really didn't expect them to beat them, but they showed promise. Last year they lost in Game 7 in the semis. This year they lost in Game 5 in the Western Conference Finals to what's probably going to be the eventual champions. This team can possibly be in that position to win an NBA championship within the next 2 to 3 years. It's very, very, very much possible that the team can do it. They all stay together. Will Barton, who is a crucial player on that team, who was a starter before he went out with injury, he wasn't even playing this whole playoffs. Last year they didn't have Michael Porter Jr. This year they had him, but they didn't have Will Barton. So this team, they develop more. You're going to have Jokic, who's going to probably turn, I think he turns 25 next year. If not 26. Jamal Murray, who's going to turn 24. Keep those guys together. Michael Porter Jr., this is really his first year playing with the team. So he's going to next year. I mentioned Jeremy Grant. I don't know if he'll stay or not. Gary Harris still got him. Got all these players coming back. Eventually this team could possibly win an NBA championship. And they showed with their play style, because Jokic is the best center in the league. He's the best center in the league. Jamal Murray continues to be consistent, continue to be that guy and play like he did throughout these playoffs. And Michael Porter Jr. keeps ascending. That's a three-headed monster right there. That's that they won't eventually be the team to be in the West once all these other teams, start to wither off and their players get old. But these Lakers, man. But let's talk about who they got to go against. Let's talk about the Miami Heat. They're going against the Miami Heat because the Heat beat the Celtics Sunday night in 6. This was a good series, from the very first game where Bam Adebayo blocked Jason Tatum for the game-winning dunk. that was crazy. You know, I was watching that live and seeing Tatum blow by. I'm like, this man great dunk on Bam Adebayo for the game. But Bam met him perfectly at the rim, put in like perfect elevation. It was a nice clean block on Tatum that he got on him. And from that moment on, you know, it just kind of set the tone for this series, because you have both teams here who are both a little bit undersized. You know, they kind of play like a perimeter defensive oriented team. A lot of guys that can kind of rotate and switch on players with one big solid guy down low. On Celtics, it was Tice or Robert Williams. For Miami, it was Bam Adebayo. Sometimes they throw Solomon Hill or Kelly Olynyk down there. So you kind of have two teams that kind of similar play styles, but overall it came out on the team with the more heart, which was the Miami Heat, came out on top. Game 2, there was some issues with Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown to the game. Marcus Smart was very frustrated, and Jaylen Brown tried to calm him down. The two got into it, but eventually the two made amends. And for Game 3, when Gordon Hayward returned as well from his injury, the team actually won. But, you know, like I said, they had more heart. The Heat had way more heart. And in Game 5, Tyler Herro's 37 points. Shout out to UK, even though I'm a Louisville fan. Led them to victories and in clutch time too. And like I said, like this team, they both kind of perimeter defensive oriented, but like Miami Heat was really, really pressing on their zone defense, and it was shutting down the Celtics offense mostly throughout the series. It wasn't until like later on in the series, like I probably would say like Game 3 when they first won, that the Celtics kind of like got on to the zone defense that they was doing, and even then after that they couldn't even really stop it. Jimmy Butler is really coming out on top on all of this, you know, from being with the Chicago Bulls to after being traded and going to the Timberwolves, where he was with Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns, and they was too soft, and that's what was the narrative around them, to getting traded to Philly, which would seem to be a good situation, but he felt like that wasn't the right type of environment, especially after they lost, and came to Miami. He took a chance. Many, including myself, was like, why did he go to Miami? Who is in Miami? Because we thought, you know, he's probably going to go somewhere and team up with somebody. But Jimmy Butler took that chance, and he took a high risk. I won't even say it wasn't even a high risk in his eyes, because you look at the team already before he got down there. They had Bam Adebayo. They was playing on. They didn't have Tyler Herro yet. They had Goran Dragic. I mean, I guess you can look at it like a high risk, because really they really didn't have much down there. They wasn't in the playoffs yet. I mean, that's the first time they was back in the playoffs when he got down there. But it was a high risk, a high reward, and he led this team, and the culture that they have down there, it fit him. And you can see it that all these players, you know, they love playing with each other. They love playing with each other. They all got each other's back. They instill confidence within one another. Where it could be Tyler Herro going off one night, it could be Bam Adebayo, who went off in Game 5 or Game 6, who had his career high of 32 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists. It could be Duncan Robinson going off, Jimmy Butler going off. It could be Goran Dragic, who's been playing very well throughout these playoffs. You know, replacing Kendrick Nunn, who hasn't been the same since returning back from his COVID positive test. I wish he could be out here shining, because, you know, he's a rookie. He was one of the 3 players on the 3 baby ghosts, as the Heat call them, with him, Herro, and Chris Silva, that really shined this year, especially him being all NBA first rookie team. I wish he was there. I wish he was playing better. But Goran Dragic, who's been one of my favorite players to watch since he was with Phoenix, coming off the bench of Steve Nash, he's been playing phenomenal. This team has been very good. Iguodala too, you know, who had his season high points with only 15 points, but the points that he had in Game 6 was very crucial. He had 3 back-to-back threes. Two back threes, I should say, in Game 6 that kind of lifted them in a moment where they was like kind of fighting back and like staying in the game against the Celtics. Going to Bam Adebayo and talk about the coaching, you know, he took responsibility for the loss in Game 5, but in Game 6 he showed up and showed out. Showed up and showed out. Where he started the series on a exclamation point with that block on Tatum, he ended it on a triple exclamation point, you know, in Game 6, leading the Heat to a championship. So what does this mean for the NBA playoffs? I mean, the finals. What are we going to see here? What's at stake for both of these teams? Well, really, like I said, going into the season, nobody really expected the Heat to be in this position. Some maybe because they started to play well as the season started to progress, but like really, initially when the season started, not many expected the Heat to be here. Lakers was one of the odds-on favorites to be here. So we are at this point now where both of these teams are in the NBA playoffs, and it would have been cool to see if there was actually fans there. Not saying I was gonna be there, but it would just be cool to see in both of those environments. But we are now in this NBA Finals. It's gonna be very interesting to see. For the Lakers, they have everything's at stake here. Like I said before, the storylines going into the season with the loss of Kobe, they got a lot at stake here. The Miami Heat don't really have much at stake here. They wasn't really expected to be here. They don't look at themselves as underdogs. They have heart. They have grit. They know who they are. They played their way through the playoffs, eliminating the number 1 seed team in the East in the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games, and sweeping my Pacers. They deserve to be here. They played hard. They have that grit. They have that grind. But I'm worried a little bit about their defense against the Lakers. Where the Heat is very well defending the perimeter and have great perimeter shooting, Lakers is not known for being a perimeter shooting team. They've been shooting a little bit better in this playoffs, but that's not their main forte. They got that pick and roll action with LeBron and AD going, Rondo when he's there too, and a lot of cutting back screens that they have going on for their offense. How does the Heat, who's a little bit undersized compared to Lakers, how would that fare well for them? It's very interesting to see. With Bam Adebayo as their center, at 6'9", and at power forward, they have Jay Crowder, who's at 6'8", 6'7". The Lakers, who played against a small team in the Houston Rockets, in the regular season, it didn't work well for them. But then you seen they made the adjustments in the playoffs and took out the Rockets in 5 games. So with the Heat, that would be my concern about them into this finals. Like how they plan on defending their bigs, like Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, LeBron when he goes to the paint, JaVale McGee. All those guys, or maybe the Lakers might, play small ball and go back to that line that they had against the Rockets. Who's to know? Spoelstra and the Heat, Pat Riley, very familiar with LeBron James. Last time they was in the finals was with LeBron James. Shaq mentioned on the TNT. I think it was after the Lakers won that they want for some reason they want the Heat more than they want the Celtics. Maybe it has something to do with LeBron, and his relationship with the Miami Heat, how he left. That's a possibility. But we all gonna see how that plays out. I have the Lakers going in and winning this in 6 games. I'm gonna give Miami Heat 2 games because when they on fire and when they have such a big heart. I'm talking about the heart so big that the little what cartoons? I think it was Dr. Seuss when the Grinch's heart grew 3 times as big and it busted out the little thing that was measuring his heart. They have that big of a heart. So I'm not gonna count them out and say they're gonna get swept or gentleman sweep like the Lakers been doing this whole time. Well, they might. Lakers is really determined here, but I'm not gonna count out the Heat like that. I'm not. I'm not gonna count them out after the path they went through in this playoffs and the way they've been playing and the determination and the heart and grit and grind that they've been showing. I'm not gonna count them out, but I had the Lakers win this in 6. The Heat will come out looking good, and it's gonna make them look even better because for them making it to the NBA Finals without Jimmy Butler is an all-star, but he's not like your perennial top 10 player to really take you there. This could be a great thing for them because it can lure Giannis Antetokounmpo to come down there and play with the team. And they can insert him in that power forward position. He could play with Bam. He could play with Jimmy. He could play with Tyler. Play with Gordon or Kendrick Nunn if he decides to show up and play. That'd be a solid team there in the East right there. So, it look good for the Miami Heat if this happens. So, yeah, Lakers got this game in 6. I think it'd be a fun, interesting series to see. But LeBron and them boys, they win the championship. Y'all see me on this show in the Lakers jersey. Y'all, I'm telling y'all this now. They win this championship. Y'all will see me on this show a Laker jersey. I won't bash the Lakers for a little bit. I ain't gonna say it forever. I'm gonna say a little bit. They're gonna get bashed too. Still, they can be open to criticism. Just because they win don't mean they won't be open to criticism. But they win, I'll put on my Laker gear. I'll say LeBron. I ain't gonna say the GOAT. He still won't be the GOAT, but I'm gonna say he is that man. Still doesn't mean he should have won MVP. I don't know why people would argue that the MVP race is based on the play before the bubble. LeBron's been playing great, but not that great throughout most of the season to where he deserves MVP over Giannis. But that's neither here or there. Let's talk about my team, my real team. People joke about how many teams I have. My real team, Indiana Pacers. Some unfortunate news. Some news that I figured was gonna come eventually, just based off the way they was looking like they was playing. Oladipo was looking to move in the offseason. It's like, God, it's like every time we get a player, like a star player, it's like they want to go. It was, I guess the last star player we had that didn't really leave was Reggie Miller. But, I guess you want to count Jermaine O'Neal, but I really don't care about Jermaine O'Neal. Paul George, gone. Oladipo wants to leave now, too. Dang. I saw this coming. With the whole situation of how he came back and played and kind of was on the fence about playing in a bubble, even though he already returned for the season before the bubble even started, but he still has to think about coming back and play. It looked like a little bit of like the team was forcing him to play. He's a free agent, not this upcoming season. Off season, but next season. So he's got 1 year left on his deal. So most likely there'll be a trade going on for that. If we do get a trade, I saw somewhere that said, Celtics are open to trade for Oladipo. If that was to happen, it'd be a good thing for us to get somebody back, at least, maybe possibly I know we're going to get a Jason Tatum. Like, he's untouchable, but probably like a Jaylen Brown maybe, or, I guess Gordon Hayward, I guess it'd be worth it. I guess he went to Butler. That's in Indiana, but I don't want him to go. Who are we going to have now? We got Miles. We got DeMontis. We got Malcolm Brogdon. TJ Warren's there. But Oladipo was supposed to be that guy. Don't leave, Victor. Make amends with the team and the executive. I know we just fired Coach Nate McMillan. We still need a head coach. I don't know who it's going to be. They want Mike D'Antoni. Maybe it's going to be him. Chauncey Billups or something. I don't know. Mark Jackson, a former Pacer, hopefully. I don't know. Come back, please. Because I don't know where the season gonna go is gonna go for us. I don't know. I don't know where he's gonna go either. He's a shooting guard coming off an injury. Who could really need him? What if we get Bradley Beal from Washington? No, it ain't gonna happen. That's just a thought. Just a thought. Maybe it can happen. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe he ain't gonna do that. I was gonna say maybe Milwaukee, they need a point guard though, more specifically than a two. I need a point guard, but man, we can get. Ain't not no Milwaukee that we want. They're not gonna trade Chris Middleton. I don't want Chris Middleton. I don't know, but it's very unfortunate news. Like I said, I saw this coming. The writing was on the wall. This is based off the way he was carrying himself throughout the playoffs and the way the rumors and the conversations around him and whether or not he wanted to play. I know Richard Jefferson mentioned this, that possibly this is similar to a Kawhi Leonard situation, and that's what it looks like it is now. We still don't have a head coach. I don't know what's going on in Naptown, but we need to get it together. We need to wake up. We need to get it together, y'all. Speaking of leaving, head coaching jobs, the Clippers. This is something I did not see coming. I kind of did, but didn't really expect it to happen. Doc Rivers has been fired. Doc Rivers has been fired by Steve Ballmer. Now, based off the performance this team has had in the playoffs and through the last 7 seasons that Doc Rivers has been there, this is the second time he's blown a 3-1 league with the franchise, I can slightly understand why he was fired, but at the same time, I don't think it was the right thing to do, Given that this team, I always said that they suffer from chemistry issues for not playing as much with each other throughout the season and acquiring players, major key players like Reggie Jackson or Marcus Morris, I should say, throughout the regular season. They didn't have enough time to build that chemistry with each other because they didn't really play as much with each other. Then, the Clippers was 1 and 2 teams, including the Lakers. But I guess that's just a testament to LeBron's leadership and determination to win. But they were 1 and 2 teams that did not want to play in the bubble, especially when they did the pause for Jacob Blake and the Kenosha Washington shooting. Not Washington, Milwaukee, my fault. Shooting. And they was one of the teams that elected to not play. So you have all these issues, Lou Will in the strip club with Jack. Yeah, I'm in trouble, Jack. Come on now. Montrezl Harrell, who left for family issues. Pat Beverly, who left for a little bit too. It was a bunch of inconsistencies going on. Paul George didn't play most of the regular season. He was out here and there. Kawhi Leonard load managing. So can't really blame Doc Rivers for this. You can't, because you just threw all these pieces together. It looks on paper that it can all work well. But if you look at most teams, when they are thrown together in their first season, they do not win. I guess with this Lakers, you can say that they're going to win because, this is going to be their first season together. LeBron and AD played. But that just goes to show LeBron James' leadership. But with the inconsistency of all these players playing together and with the pause in the regular season too, I wouldn't blame all of this on Doc Rivers and make him the scapegoat. Don't necessarily agree with this. I would want it to all of them to come back and run it back for next season. Because after next season, Kawhi and Paul George, they did sign a 2+1 deal, a play option for the third year. So you could possibly lose these guys if things don't go right. Not necessarily, they are from LA, but you could possibly lose these guys for all or nothing because they did trade all these picks, and I guess that's why Steve Ballmer is more upset with this because he feel like he done gave up and did so much to put his team together. Kawhi Leonard really wanted this. He wanted Paul George, and he made the front office, trade all those picks for him, and you can't really put that on Doc Rivers. Paul George didn't show up when need be necessary. Kawhi Leonard wasn't there in Game 7. The chemistry issues of all these players, and I guess from a leadership standpoint, where Kawhi Leonard wasn't that much of a vocal leader, I guess they wanted Doc to be that leader vocally and kind of galvanize to get them to be on the same page. But when you have so many, personalities, Montrezl coming up on a contract, he just won Sixth Man of the Year. Paul George, his inconsistencies throughout the playoff and his injury throughout the regular season. All these different players, you can't really put blame all on Doc, I don't think. I think, and you gotta think too, Doc Rivers is one of the reasons why they even came there in the first place. So Steve Ballmer even called several key players, including Kawhi and Paul George, and they gave him their input. They didn't want Doc Rivers gone, but Steve Ballmer ultimately made the decision of saying, "Bump it, I'm gonna fire him anyways." Now, I think that Ty Lue will be the next head coach. He's already was assistant coach this year, and he has experience being the head coach. He's already familiar with the system and the players. I think it'd be best for him to do that, to go with Ty Lue to be their head coach, especially if they want to keep the chemistry together and keep all these players together, and kind of keep the same flow that they have. At least with Ty Lue, he's an assistant coach, but he has that identity. He keeps saying excel there, and you move him up to the head coaching position. I think that would be the best route for them to go, but ain't no telling where they go with that. Where would Doc go? I suggest he goes to Houston. I think Houston Rockets would be a great spot with him. His son is there. If you watch him in the bubble, he was watching a lot of their games. I know mostly to support his son, but I think Houston would be a great spot for Doc to go with Russ and James Harden. It's kind of weird. It's going to be kind of difficult with the roster they have because they done put all their chips into the small ball roster that they have, small ball team that they got, and then Tony kind of set that culture. And one of the things Houston talked about was like kind of doing a culture change. So if they bring in Doc Rivers, it's kind of this grit and grind defensive-minded coach. And with the Rockets, becoming a better defensive team, the way they've been playing, especially perimeter defensively wise, I think it'd be a good option for them. It'd be intriguing to see how he plays within the lineup and see how he tweaks it and utilizes it and try to optimize James Harden and Russ in their current years. It'd be cool to see. If not there, Philly's is the head coaching job that many have say would be a good job for anybody. Figuring out how to deal with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, that'll be very interesting to see, especially for him being a defensive-minded coach. He can hone in on that defensive mindset with these players. But I think defense is not more so their problem. I think they need better offense. So I think that's why they're kind of looking at a Mike D'Antoni in Philly, or Mike D'Antoni might go to Indiana. Who knows? But I think Doc, to me, the best fit for him will be in Houston, or maybe even New Orleans. In a young team down there. That'd be very cool to see too, with Zion Williamson and B.I. 150 B.I. Alonzo and them guys. See how he plays with them. But yeah, I think it was pretty unfortunate. I was shocked by that news when I got the alert about it yesterday. But hey, it's basketball. It's some unprecedented, unpredictable times. And it just keeps getting more unpredictable every year. So, it's a little bit short episode of Trade Ball today. It's only, like I said, the conference finals that's happened. And as we prepare for the NBA finals tomorrow night, Lakers in 6. That's my prediction. Lakers in 6. Are you happy, George? You happy, all you Laker fans? Lakers in 6. So, I'm done. I'm gonna wallow in my water, and talk about how LeBron James has proved me wrong and he's gonna shut me up and win him an NBA championship this year. Even when I thought he wasn't. And I laughed and I mocked. Not saying I never appreciated his greatness, but I just didn't think this year would be the year. But hey, we all get proven wrong every once in a while, right? Right. All right. So, yeah, I'm done with this episode. Peace out.